Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about how to think of project ideas that both get users and hopefully generate some sort of revenue for you. The premise of this video is that I and a lot of friends with CS majors, and I just like will go through the CS major subreddit or CS career question subreddit once a week, and I see a very common question get asked of that basically that people know how to code, they just don't know what they want to work on. They don't have ideas. And I always found that very strange because in my head I'm like, well, I feel like I could be doing like hundreds of things right now. And so yeah, I want to kind of make this video and just kind of talk about the thought process I go through when I try to come up with new project ideas and how you could replicate that. Okay, so to kind of get this point across, I want to talk about my biggest personal project, which is a website called MiataFitment.com. Okay, so what MiataFitment.com is it's a website that has a 3D Mazda Miata model. And if you come all the way up here, you can adjust all your wheel, tire, and alignment settings. And in real time, like for example, if I wanted to increase my wheel width by 4 inches, I want to increase the diameter by 16 and maybe make the offset a little more aggressive, we go like 15. I am able to see what that looks like on the car in real time. And why that's cool is because previously the only way to do it is by looking through, for example, this is the Fitment thread on Club Roadster, and you'd have to look through and kind of see what the people are running. Like for example, this guy is on 16 by 8 plus 0 with a 205/45 tire. And you could look at that and be like, that's how it's going to fit on my car. Or if you maybe had 16 by 8 plus 15, you could go here to like this website and you can get like a comparison of what 16 by 8 plus 0 looks like versus 16 by 8 plus 15. And if those numbers don't mean anything to you or whatever, it doesn't really matter in this case. It's more so, it just requires a bunch of visual trial and error because you don't really know how things work together. And every car is different, or it just requires a bunch of math, which isn't fun. So that's where this website comes in. It makes it very accessible and easy, and ultimately will end up saving people hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And as a result, like over 3,000 people have used it. Like 18, I think, percent people come back to the website after they've already used it. I've generated money through selling stickers. I've pitched it in my college's business line competition and placed and won like $2,000 through doing it. I've gotten job interviews from posting about it. And I also had to present a project for my job interview, the job I currently have, and this is the project I presented. And obviously that went well. So as you can see, I'm not going to say I've had a bunch of success with it. It's not like I run like a 6-figure business with it, but I have had a decent amount of success. And I think somebody who's a little more motivated, a little more smarter than me could really take these kind of ideas and really push it forward, which is why I'm making this video. So I thought of the idea because I spent the summer of 2024 out in my college town working an internship. And where I went, I guess where I go to college, or I guess where I went to, and where I went to college is a town of about 30,000 people. And most of them are students, and most of them leave during the summer. So I was very bored. I did a lot of scrolling through Miata Facebook pages and Miata Reddit and whatnot. And I noticed a really common question, which is also a question I had when I was starting. It's basically what wheel setup will fit my car. And there's hundreds of possible wheel combinations when you factor in wheel width, wheel diameter, wheel offset, tire size, camber, like all these things play a part, and it's really hard for people to know everything. There's common setups, but there's also a bunch of non-common setups. And previously I've been playing around with Three.js and had an idea to use it to solve this problem. And if you don't know, Three.js is a JavaScript library that lets you display 3D objects in the browser. And if you look at the bottom of the screen here, this is actually my first commits on April 3rd of this project. Like before this project was ever MiataFitment.com, I was just trying to figure out how to get a cube to sit on a plane, right? Like just like a flat plane and getting a cube on it. Like that's basically how the project started. So I started very small. Like this is one of the first commits I have that's I would consider like a demo. As you can see, it's like a car with wheels, but the car is literally 2 rectangles, and this slider up here was like a ride height adjustment, so it would move the car like up and down. very elementary, right? A couple months later, it ended up looking like this. As you can see, it doesn't look particularly good in any capacity. That background color is a very strange choice. The model just looks really bad. The lighting looks really bad. And it's missing a bunch of features, which you might not know if you haven't used the website. But yeah, I posted this to a group of some friends, and I got some feedback. And then I just kind of kept posting it. I went on to Reddit and started posting it, and got more feedback, and just kind of made more changes. And eventually, it kind of grew what it is in today. So maybe I got a little ahead of myself there, but as as the website started to grow, people started requesting features. People wanted to see, different Miata generation models. They wanted to see more settings for wheel customization. Like, for example, you can have a different wheel setup in the front versus the rear. People wanted to see suspension simulations. People wanted to be able to save their settings. Things like that were kind of suggestions people wanted. And there's still so much stuff to do. There's a big roadmap for the website, and I'm actively working on it. We'll get to that later. And as a result, I've been able to sell out my first batch of stickers for the website to kind of make some money to put back into the website. Obviously, it's not free to run. You got to pay for your domain and your host and whatnot. So, yeah. Anyway, site development is still pretty slow despite all that. I'm blocked on some things. Although I have a roadmap, I would really like to push this to be a marketplace for 3D prints for Miatas. I think it would be a perfect website. I've noticed an uptick on 3D printed body kits on Instagram, and I think it's just be the perfect place for creators to be able to showcase what they've made. Because imagine if you made a 3D printed front lip, for example. You could show the front lip on a car, and let's say there were 3D printed headlight covers, and you could be able to see what your front lip looks like with your headlight covers, and then the user could see how that flows in with the rest of their build, for example. And it would just be it'd make an ecosystem, and then you know exactly what you're getting into, from your wheels to your body kits to the color of your car and how it all plays together. And I just think it'd be really cool. Unfortunately, 3D modeling isn't my strong suit, which is probably my biggest blocker. I just have so many plates spinning right now. It's hard to put my time into just this. But I do try to allocate some time into this. And before I go back and talking about my project, I want to get to the point of this video of how you can replicate this for your own projects. And I hope that when I kind of told you about Miata Fitment, that it gave you an idea of it, and how I thought of it and all that. But yeah, so anyway, this is and this is what I would think that you could do to replicate it. So first of all, you need to have a life outside of programming, which you all do. So everyone has hobbies and interests. Everyone interacts with the world differently, and if nothing else, everyone has people in their life who interact with the world differently than they do. Kind of look for different topics that seem interesting, and then look for the bottleneck in those topics. For example, I'm moving this week, and finding an apartment was kind of a challenge. For example, going and touring an apartment is a lot of time, and most apartments kind of suck. And some apartments won't let you tour. Actually, I've never lived in an apartment that lets you tour it. The university housing, which is where I was staying before this, wouldn't let you tour it. And then the new lease I signed wouldn't let you tour, which is very strange, but kind of makes sense. So the current solution was to look at pictures, or at best some apartments had those 360 images, but it never gives you a feel of the apartment, right? It's you can't walk in there with a tape measure and see how your stuff's gonna fit. So I was always thinking wouldn't it be cool if you could use Three.js to virtually tour apartments? Imagine a leasing agent could take a 3D scan with Polyscan or something, and then you upload it to the website, and then users can go in and walk around the apartment, and maybe there's a virtual ruler that you can use to measure out the apartment, and there's a furniture maker. So if you were my table was 20, I don't know how big a table is, 40 inches by 25 inches or something like that. What does that look like in this space? And you can have a table maker render that and stuff like that. I think it'd be really cool. If anyone wants to work on that together, let me know. Or if someone wants to take that idea and run with it, please do. I think you'd make the world a better place. So, but yeah, the hardest part which isn't so hard if you have a really good niche idea, is getting people to use it. Like I said, like if you can niche down, you can kind of come up with something that's like kind of creative. I think is like kind of what I meant by this bullet point. Like, for example, it's kind of a joke, but there's like a lot of people make to-do apps, and it's just not niched enough. Like it's so basic, and there's so many of them. Like you'll never hit like a target audience with that. Whereas like Miata Fitment, it was niche enough that you could target straight to Miata people, which lets me post on Reddit about it. I post on LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't really matter. If I was like doing like business stuff, you could post on LinkedIn. If I had like, I guess I could run ads too for Miata Fitment, like Meta or Google, or if I had like a service, like for example that apartment touring thing, like you could run ads and target like landlords or something. You can also have like friends try it and whatnot. It doesn't have to be serious, and you can always like ramp up scale. It doesn't have to be all done today. Basically, is kind of what I'm trying to say. And then you want to, once you have your idea, once you have some people coming in, you want to iterate on it. People will request features, and people will find bugs. For example, this comment here, he mentioned that he couldn't add a comma to the wheel width when on mobile, and to me that's strange, because when you have a field that has like an input, it's like a numeric, when you have a numeric input field, on at least on iOS, it'll give you like this keyboard versus like a standard like QWERTY keyboard that you use if you're like typing a text message. And in this keyboard, it has this comma here, and in the United States layout and maybe probably other layouts, I don't know, but they're periods. But if you're in a country where your decimal points are represented by a comma instead of a period, it would be a comma. Like that makes sense. I wouldn't have ever thought of that though. I've never used a keyboard like that. So until he pointed it out, like I would have, had no idea. So it gave me something to iterate on. And as as your app grows, you'll have more opportunities to make more posts. Like for example, I made a handful of posts every time I've added a new Miata generation, and the more features I added, I'll make more posts and I'll get more people on it, and I'll grow the app and I'll sell more stickers and all this stuff. Right? It's a cycle, and at some point you'll be able to hopefully monetize your app. I do think it's a good idea to start off by thinking about something that someone would want to buy, because I think that's kind of how you find something that's like valuable. I do not think thinking about making money off your stuff is the way to go about it, though. I think the money will follow if your idea is good. But yeah, I have some friends who have websites where they do contracting, they do AI for contractors, and they sell services and they make good money doing that. I have friends with websites that have ads. Me personally, I chose to go the merch route. So as I mentioned before, I sell stickers. For me, it's more so a keep the lights on kind of deal. Like, domains aren't free. Models aren't free, especially stuff I can't do myself. I'll typically outsource and pay someone. Stuff like that. So that's something to kind of think about, and think about like a monetization strategy when you start thinking of your idea. Okay, and maybe you've listened to this entire thing and you're just like, Anthony, I still don't know what I want to do. Or maybe you're just really interested in Miata Fitment. I kind of wanted to put this at the end of this video and say that if you know how to 3D model, or if you know how to code, and you have like some sort of previous projects and experience, I'm not looking for someone with like, I guess I'm not looking for people with like, FANG internships or whatnot. Like you can kind of just have like little projects or something. I just want to see some proof that you know how to code. Obviously, if you have experience, you're more than welcome to. I don't want to like gatekeep it, because I think it's kind of part of the charm of working on projects like this is it can kind of give you experience for applying for internships or applying for jobs and whatnot. I would prefer if you had some sort of interest in cars. If you have interest in Miatas, that's also really cool. And then also you just want to be part of something fun. At the end of the day, this is all just for fun. So yeah, if that sounds at all interested, please comment on this video. I'll get a hold of you somehow. Maybe we'll help make a Discord or something. I'm not exactly sure yet, but it kind of goes, it helps both of us out. It's for you, it's decent engagement on the website. So those numbers look really good on the resume. It's a fun project to work on, and you really are making an impact in the Miata community. And then for me, it kind of helps. My goal with this is to obviously make a good impact on the Miata community. I'd like to be a very impactful figure. Not really me, but I would like to make an impact. And it's also would kind of step me up into a maintainer role, because if enough people want to do this, I would be planning on open sourcing it. So I would be more of a maintainer on it, which would be different and probably a good experience for me. So yeah, I think it kind of helps everyone. So yeah, let me know if you're interested. And that's all I got. So yeah, comment if you have any questions or if you want to run any ideas by me or whatnot. Also comment if you're interested in working on Miata Fitment. And yeah, I also want to say that the last video did very well. I think got like 500 views, which is crazy. I don't know. Like when I started making videos, I didn't think anyone would ever watch them. So that's kind of a crazy feeling. And I've decided that this summer, so that like the next 3 months or so, I want to post a video every single week. My idea is 12 videos over 12 weeks. I have some ideas already of videos I'm going to make, and I'll think of more as the summer goes on. And yeah, so I guess I hope to be able to provide some more value and, or if nothing else, entertainment. Um, and yeah, I guess thanks guys for watching. I can kind of say that now. People watch these videos. So yeah, I mean, take care everyone, and yeah, see you in the next one.